Now at 11, much needed and long-awaited relief is on the way to Americans. Congress officially passed another COVID relief package. We'll tell you everything you need to know and when you can see money in your bank account.
50 degrees today. Can you believe that on the first day of winter? But colder air is going to be coming back, and I'm tracking some rain and windy conditions in the short term as well.
Plus, our Casey Decker is one-on-one with Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward to see what goals she accomplished and what's still left undone. The news at 11 starts now. Breaking news right off the top here. Happening now, there's a four-car crash on westbound I-90 between Argonne and Pines. At this hour, troopers are still working to clear the scene. Washington State Patrol says the driver that caused the crash was under the influence of drugs and was arrested for felony DUI. We're told a minor was in one of the vehicles and was brought to a hospital to evaluate their injuries. Thankfully, though, there were no fatalities. The westbound lanes of I-90 are down to one lane and is backed up all the way to Pines. We're monitoring this situation closely and we'll let you know as soon as we receive an update. Well, good evening and thanks so much for staying up late with us tonight. I'm Tim Pham. We want to get to more breaking news now. Congress has passed the $900 billion coronavirus relief bill. The bill will now go to President Trump's desk for him to sign. Under the legislation, $600 stimulus checks will be sent to people who make less than $75,000 a year. They will also get $600 for each of their dependents. It also includes a $300 a week in federal unemployment benefits for the next 10 weeks.
We've come together, we've done something important, and I think we've set the stage for perhaps something later in the next Congress.
This is as close to a Christmas miracle as you can find in a polarized Washington.
The stimulus measure includes funding for COVID vaccinations and testing. It also includes funding for schools and small business loans. The measure would extend the eviction moratorium through the end of next month. The White House says the president looks forward to signing the bill, and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin says checks could start going out as early as next week. To tracking the coronavirus now, Spokane Regional Health District reported 196 new cases today. They are also reporting 5 new deaths, bringing the total number of deaths to 334 since the start of the pandemic. 121 people are currently hospitalized, 57 of which are Spokane County residents. In North Idaho, the Panhandle Health District is reporting 547 new cases from over the weekend. There have been 2 new deaths and 92 people are currently in the hospital. Well, Chaz's drive-through testing site at the Spokane Arena has been very busy before the holidays. A few things to note if you are planning on getting tested. The drive-through site will be closed the 25th through the 27th. While they're closed, anyone who feels like they need an urgent test can go to one of the Chaz locations in North Spokane or in Spokane Valley. To get a test, you must be symptomatic or have had direct exposure with someone who tested positive for the virus. So if you're looking for a test because you're traveling but feel well, you don't qualify. The testing site is open till Friday from 9 a.m. until 3. Well, take a look at this. Some of the great photos that you've been sending in of the Christmas star. Now, the phenomenon happens when Jupiter and Saturn align, making it look like a bright star. And we want to see your photos. Just head to the KREM 2 app and go to the Near Me section. You might just see your photos on our broadcast. And it was great weather that cooperated enough that some folks were able to see that Christmas star. Even greater, perhaps, that the weather was so mild to be out in. Meteorologist Michelle Bosch joining us now from home. Michelle, the warm temperatures aren't sticking around, though, are they?
No, we're finally starting to see the colder air move in. Just last hour, we were still sitting at 50 degrees at the Spokane airport, but temperatures have dropped 5 degrees in the last hour. Of course, we have some wind and rain along with those cooling temperatures as well. Satellite and radar showing band of rain showers, mainly rain showers right now across eastern Washington and North Idaho, as we're still in that relatively warm air, much colder air behind it. In fact, snowing hard right now at Snoqualmie and Stevens Pass as snow levels are dropping behind the cold front. All right, we have windy conditions as well. Wind wind advisory is in effect until the early hours of tomorrow morning. We've already seen a wind gust of 45 miles per hour at the Spokane airport, and looking at sustained winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour. One last winter weather advisory until 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. That would include the North Cascades, Snoqualmie, and Stevens Pass, looking at additional 4 to 7 inches of snow over those mountain ranges. All right, right now 45 degrees. We've fallen 5 degrees in the last hour in Spokane, 46 in Coeur d'Alene. Temperatures still in the mid-40s in Moses Lake and Ritzville, 36 in Omak, still 50 in Lewiston. And here's a look at our current sustained wind speeds. These are not gusts. 30 miles per hour in Spokane, 32 miles per hour in Pullman, and 30 miles per hour in Coeur d'Alene. So if you're hearing the wind howl, well, that's why. Very strong winds. All right, much colder air for tomorrow. Highs only in the upper 30s, but we should see some sunshine. Winds dying down by afternoon, and then more seasonably cold weather as we head towards Christmas. Highs in the 30s and lows in the 20s. Dry weather for Wednesday and Thursday.
New at 11, as 2020 comes to a close, so does Mayor Nadine Woodward's first year in office, and it certainly wasn't the year anyone expected. Our political reporter Casey Decker sat down with the mayor to see what goals she accomplished and what's still left undone.
Nadine Woodward ran for mayor on 3 main issues: homelessness, property crime, and economic development. But not long after taking office, those issues were dwarfed by another: COVID-19. Suddenly, the mayor who wanted to loosen regulations on businesses could no longer even promise they could stay open.
It's not been easy. It's not been easy for the governor. It's not been easy for the governor of any state. It's not been easy for me as mayor.
Plans for economic development had to be scrapped as the focus switched to just keeping business alive. But other initiatives did push on. Woodward's most well-known, perhaps only, concrete campaign promise: opening a police precinct in the heart of downtown Spokane.
And we were able to do that. I'm very, very proud of that. And I worked with the council on that as well.
Still, citywide, while many crimes are down compared to last year, others, like commercial burglaries, are up.
Crime has been a difficult issue under COVID. And this seems to be the year that we blame everything on COVID. But we have seen some sectors of crime go up. We'll have to tackle property crime again in 2021.
Woodward campaigned on changing the way the city handles homelessness. She said that other local governments needed to help out more and that the system should focus more on drug treatment and mental health as opposed to just sheltering. So has she accomplished those goals? When it comes to the latter, the city does plan to open a so-called bridge shelter.
That's a program, yes, Casey, that will have accountability in it because you can stay 30, 60, 90 days, but you're getting the specific help you need, whether that could be help with an addiction or mental illness assistance or job training, any of that.
But because of COVID, that won't launch until next year. And as for regional help, well, that's been a sticking point recently. Woodward wanted a proposed youth shelter built outside city limits, but the city council argued that without a suitable location, her decision was jeopardizing millions in grant money from the state. They've since reached a tentative compromise to operate in the city this year while looking to move it to Spokane Valley next year.
Collaboration takes time. You have to have patience. We're not all going to agree on the same thing, but we're making decisions together.
Collaboration in general was one of Woodward's main objectives. Previous mayor David Condon often butted heads with the city council and its previous president, Ben Stuckert. Woodward and council president Brian Beggs have found much more common ground, or at least avoided frequent public disagreements.
Is there any one thing that stands out to you as something that you're particularly proud of?
I would definitely say my relationship with the council members.
Still, there have been conflicts. Woodward vetoed an ordinance banning mosquito devices downtown as a loitering deterrent, citing feedback from businesses. The council overrode that veto. The council also approved a contract for fluoridating the city's drinking water over Woodward's objections.
My position on that hasn't changed, and it won't change. I think it should be up to the voter.
And they rejected a long-in-the-works contract with the Police Guild, citing a lack of accountability structures during a time when thousands of Spokanites were protesting for structural changes to the police department. In response to those protests, Woodward made vague commitments to reform, but promised talks about racial justice have also been postponed by COVID, she says.
And we want to have those conversations, and we want to have them in person. So as soon as we are able to do that, under the restrictions of COVID, we will begin those conversations.
And as for what she hopes to accomplish in her second year, well, she's cautious about making any promises before she knows how the pandemic will play out.
I mean, that will dictate a lot of not just what we do, but how we do it.
In Spokane, Casey Decker, KREM 2 News.
We're just getting started here on the news at 11. We have an update on the shooting at Spokane's Northtown Mall, how the incident started and who's being charged. Then later, with news of a second COVID vaccine approved, many have questions about getting a shot. Our vaccine team verifies the facts about taking the vaccine after being sick with COVID-19.